Alright guys, time to grab the pill and chuck a quick hand pass before snapping a torp from the 50 for a glorious 6-pointer on the siren.
Are we still talking about the same sport?
Footy!
Footy! AFL Evolution is the latest attempt to capture the spirit of Australian rules football and distill it into a fast-paced sports title, something that's been attempted a few times before, often with mixed results.
Indeed. The sport of AFL is unique in that it not only combines different styles of play, but it also has a lot of technical rules and tends to stop and start a lot, which can make translating it into an enjoyable video game rather difficult.
Fortunately, Evolution does its best to keep things flowing by focusing on quick handballs, lots of spillages to keep the ball moving, and a bit less tackling than previous titles. And of course, there's still the all-important marking the ball, which requires you to run your player into position and press a time-based button prompt. That said, none of this is very well explained.
Yeah, I don't follow the sport myself, so I was hoping for some sort of guided tutorials or even just like a walkthrough of the rules. But the only practice option available was to have a run around, which put me alone in an empty stadium to try and work it out myself. Hello? Anyone? Does anyone want to play with me? It was really depressing.
Yeah, it seems like the only real way to get to grips with the game is to jump into a quick match. It's not exactly ideal, but it didn't take me too long before I had at least a basic understanding of the controls.
Can he kick it from here, Richard? Most players at this level shouldn't have any trouble with this conversion. 40 metres from home. Get back in from this position.
Aside from standard match play, you can choose career mode, which gives you the option of following a real-life pro player or creating your own to play through the different leagues.
And we've seen this before in other sports games, where you take control, manage and upgrade a single player's professional career. And for the most part, this works well, giving you objectives to reach and stats to upgrade and track. But the on-field action controlling a single player isn't really much fun, and it's hard to follow if you're really far from the action. Guys, kick it to me! Come on, over... Oh, no, me, over here, I'm open! Felt like school sport all over again, Rad.
Oh, well, playing as a team is always more exciting. And this is available if you select to coach a team, which is how I preferred to play, especially as they've now included the Women's League this time around too.
Brisbane sprint onto the field, some extremely on edge.
Yeah, go girls, woo!
You can also choose to simulate matches if you prefer to just deal with the management side of things, such as sponsorship, injuries and tribunal disputes. It's not really my thing, but I do know many AFL fans love poring over this stuff, so I'm glad it's all there. But guys, we've only covered the outer crust of this game, and I think we need to dig into the meat of this review and talk about the gameplay.
Oh, well, just like a meat pie at the Footy Goose, once you take it back to your seat and have a bite, you realise that the whole thing is just a hot mess. Player movement is extremely wonky, which makes reading the field difficult. Kicks often don't go where you've aimed. And even with what I thought was perfect timing, many of my attempts to mark the ball would fail. So in the end, it felt more like sheer luck if I would end up with a grab.
The football in the game. Jenkins.
Well, sadly, Rad, I know exactly what you mean. It did feel good to string a few handballs together and make a successful run to the forward line, but more often than not, my plays would end up shut down by an inaccurate kick or an overly contested mark. Which I guess is realistic when you look at a real-life match of AFL, but it still feels awkward to play in video game form, and far less satisfying than, say, in a match of soccer, for example.
Well, this game was made by a smaller studio that only releases AFL games every few years, so it's not exactly fair to compare it with other annual franchises such as FIFA or Madden, who have had many iterations to work out the kinks.
That's true, Darren, and I don't want to sound like we're being too harsh on this. But even once you get past the gameplay flaws, you're still left with something that looks and sounds like a last-gen game.
Here's the bum, not getting his first. The first goal for Melbourne.
Watts has the passion for this game.
Maybe even the generation before that.
Oh, tough call, Umpire Daz.
I'll allow it.
Here we go. It's the Western Bulldogs versus Melbourne. Whack. Have that, mate.
I think it would be hard to recommend this to anyone who isn't an absolute die-hard footy fan, wouldn't you say, Goose?
Yeah, spot on, Rad. I mean, I had a blast seeing my beloved D's have a kick around the Port Melbourne Oval while Dennis Committee rambled on in the background.
St Kilda, woeful. More gaps in their team than a 7-year-old smile.
But at no point, I think, was I actually enjoying playing the game itself. At best, this is a fun couch multiplayer game with other footy fans, but I still think AFL has a long way to evolve yet if it wants to be taken seriously as a modern sports sim. So I'm giving it 2 out of 5 rubber chickens.
Sadly, I still know just as little about AFL as before I played this game, which is a real shame because I was hoping it could teach me something. I'm giving it 1.5 out of 5 rubber chickens. So tell me again what a ruck is.
Well, the ruck takes the bounce of the ball up from the centre circle.
The center is the middle.
Yeah.
AFL Evolution 2 is a sequel, an evolution, if you will, of 2017's first game in the Evolution series. Now, I didn't love it because Aussie rules is really hard to turn into a fun video game, and it's just a difficult sport to understand if you're not a huge fan. But has the game finally evolved from a meek cat into a mighty lion?
Can't wait for this one to begin, and I think the crowd would agree too. And here we go. Finds the loose ball. Got the hands free. Great grab. Brilliant tackle. Channels a long kick. Marked by Pickett. Goes for home. Off the ground. He's kicked the goal.
Like all good sequels, AFL Evolution 2 makes a few changes and updates from the first round. There are the expected gameplay and AI improvements, but the coolest is the addition of the entire Women's League, complete with every player's likeness. They've also added some of the smaller stadiums from around Australia, the state leagues, and a Guernsey creator, which allows you to make custom uniforms and share them online. Oh, time to give these boys a nice rose pompadour palette. There are also 2 new voices in the commentary box, although they often repeat themselves and you're constantly hearing where the audio clips are cut together. It starts out kind of funny, and then slowly becomes more and more irritating.
Anthony Hudson here for this battle between the Swans and the visiting team. Here today, the clash between Fremantle and Carlton. It's GWS Giants 6-3-39. Brisbane 4-4-28.
And unfortunately, the game has a lot of these rough edges. Loading times seem way longer than necessary for a game of this size. The menus are clunky and there's a lot of them. And some of the player likenesses are downright terrifying. Ugh. Yet for a game released in 2020, this is not pretty. But despite all of this, the core gameplay can be fun. After some study. I say study because there's no training mode. Just like the previous game, you have to sit and watch videos on how to play. I had to take notes. I had to do homework in order to play. Which I will do for pizza. After a few matches though, I kinda got it and started to find a fun flow. It's the same sort of feeling as when a football match is going really well. Take possession, pass it off, set up a mark near the posts, line up a goal and score! When you're in this flow, it's pretty fun. I liked goal kicking the most because it feels like you're fully in control and it's something you can practice. Lining up a perfect shot on goals by taking into account your kick power, angle of attack, and the wind can be super rewarding. But there are also times when it's a lot less fun to play. Those were the moments when the ball is out of control, everyone's just running around, and you have to focus on the more confusing mechanics, like marking and ball ups. No matter how much I studied and tried, I could not work out how to do either of these things well. It just felt completely random.
Blakely couldn't hang on to the ball.
Because of this, I think the game is at its best when you can just focus on its strengths and ignore all the extra stuff. It's perfect for playing with a friend who's also keen on the sport, so you can just jump into a casual match to settle which team is superior, or create fantasy matchups with the game's best players. And let's face it, with the lack of real footy going on right now, fans need to get their AFL fix somewhere. So, like a lot of other niche sports titles, this isn't fancy, but if you're missing your quality footy time, you'll get a kick out of it. That's another footy joke, because a kick is a thing they do. As someone who's not super into AFL, AFL Evolution 2 didn't quite pull it off for me. But then fans might say, this game isn't made for non-fans, so who cares what I think? And look, they are right. But still, how dare you? I care what I think. And so I'm giving it 2.5 out of 5 rubber chickens.